my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice. Always try to see the best in people, he would say. As a consequence, I'm inclined to reserve all judgments. But even I have a limit. Back then, all of us drank too much. The more in tune with the times we were, the more we drank. And none of us contributed anything new. When I came back from New York, I was disgusted.
I see, Mr. Carraway.
Disgusted with everyone and everything. Only one man was exempt from my disgust.
One man? Mr. Carraway?
Gatsby.
Was he a friend of yours?
He was the single most hopeful person I've ever met, and I'm ever likely to meet again. There was something about him, sensitivity. He was like one of those machines that register earthquakes 10,000 miles away.
Where'd you meet him?
At a party in New York. In the summer of 1922, the tempo of the city approached hysteria.
Tears on the mausoleum floor, blood stains the Coliseum doors, lies on the lips of priests, rolling in the Rolls Royce Corniche.
Stocks reached record peaks, and Wall Street boomed in a steady golden roar. The parties were bigger, the shows were broader, the buildings were higher. The morals were looser, and the ban on alcohol had backfired, making the liquor cheaper. Wall Street was luring the young and ambitious, and I was one of them. I rented a house 20 miles from the city on Long Island. I lived at West Egg, in a forgotten groundskeeper's cottage squeezed among the mansions of the newly rich. To get started, I bought a dozen volumes on credit, banking, and investments, all new to me.
The stock market hit another record high.
Yes, well, of course, nothing is 100%. Well, I wouldn't go investing every penny. At Yale, I dreamed of being a writer, but I gave all that up. With the sun shining and the great bursts of leaves on the trees, I planned to spend the summer studying. And I probably would have, were it not for the riotous amusements that beckoned from beyond the walls of that colossal castle, owned by a gentleman I had not yet met, named Gatsby.
So, he was your neighbor?
My neighbor. Yeah. Well, when I think about it, the history of the summer really began the night I drove over to my cousin Daisy's for dinner. She lived across the bay in old moneyed East Egg. Her husband was heir to one of America's wealthiest families. His name was Tom Buchanan. When we were at Yale together, he'd been a sporting star, but now his glory days were behind him and he contented himself with other affairs.
Thought I told you not to call me here.
Boaz!
Shakespeare!
Tom! Oh!
Oh! How's a great American novel coming?
I'm selling bonds now with Walter Chase's outfit.
Let's say after dinner, you and I, we're going to town.
I can't.
Catch up with the wolf pack.
Big day on the job tomorrow.
Nonsense! We're going. First team, All-American. You see? Made me who I am today. Forest Hills. Play the Prince of Wales. What a sissy. Life is something you dominate, Nick. If you're any good.
Oh!